Hi, folks. My name is Bill Prinzivalli, and I do a strategic planning and organizational development for corporations large and small. I recently got involved with an art form called improvisation, and I think some of you have probably seen that either on TV or on shows, and it's been a fascinating art form for me, not only for playing for fun, but I also incorporate it in my business work. I do workshops in the communications and using improvisational tools, and it's amazingly effective. So I'm happy to be here with Steve and to have this discussion with him in terms of how improvisation can help the elder community as well as others. So thank you for having me here, Steve.
Welcome, Bill. So, Bill, what is improvisation? And I know people have a lot of different ideas about it. And well, what is it? Fill us in.
Sure. It's an art form, and it's people come to me and they say, "Oh, you do improv, so you do comedy skits." So I say, "No, I don't do comedy skits." I said it's very different. Stand-up comics, for example, have to prepare jokes, and then they go up to an audience and they try to engage them in laughter and get that feedback. That's what stand-up comedy is. Improv is very different. Improv is an art form whereby you prepare nothing and you go on stage and you try to create something in that moment, usually with a partner for the audience for entertaining. So that if you and I are on stage, Steve, for example, we would be there and we would have no lines, no script, no comedy routines written. And the purpose is essentially for us to connect to each other and to create something in the moment that is interesting for the audience. It might be comedic, it might be dramatic, it could go in all different directions. There's all different types of improv, traditional comedic, there's short form, long form, etc. But the essence is for us to connect on stage, to communicate, and try to create something in that moment. That's the essence of the art form of improv.
And are there different techniques on how to do this? Different
Yeah,
ways, different
there's
methods?
something called short form improv, which is just about quick comedy. That's something you see on TV, like on a show called Whose Line Is It Anyway? What most of us do is something called long form improv. And in that, there's a dynamic that has to happen. For example, I like to use the stage example because people can get a sense of it. If two people come on stage, let's say you and I come on stage, and we want to, we want to create something. And let's say you have come out on stage first. That means you have an idea, and I'll jump out to support you. So I'm on stage, you have an idea. I better listen to you because if I don't listen to you, I've got nothing. So you're going to come out with some statement. I have no idea what you're going to say. I don't know if you are going to define us as humans, as animals. I don't know if you're going to put us in a park or the setting. I don't know if we're going to be relatives or friends. I have zero idea of what's going on. So I've got all of my ears and every cell in my body listening to say, okay, Steve, what are we doing? What's going on? What are you going to say? So I have to listen with every cell in my body to what you're saying. And not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it, the intonations, the voice, the body language, etc. Because if you say something that doesn't match your words, for example, if you say, hey, Bill, dinner was great last night, the audience sees that there's a disconnect there. And if I don't address that, they're going to be upset. So I have to listen to that sentiment. Okay, the second thing I have to do is to assess how it's impacting me. Because if you say, dinner was great last night, Bill, and I say, oh, yeah, Steve, it was fine, the audience is going to say, what are you guys doing? There's no truth to that. There's no authenticity to that. So especially if I have a surprised look on my face, the audience wants to know why I'm surprised. So I have to assess what I'm feeling. So if I'm surprised by your comment, I have to somehow incorporate that into my response. Like, well, Steve, I'm really shocked. I mean, this is our favorite restaurant. And it was, your birthday, and I was trying to, have a good celebration for you. Now I've incorporated my true feeling into an authentic response. So Actually, that is what I call the conscious communication cycle. All right. I'm being conscious of what you're saying by listening really deeply. I'm being conscious of what I'm feeling in that moment. And then I'm authentically responding to you. And then you're now doing that same thing. You're listening deeply to my comment, you're assessing your emotional reaction, and you're going to come up with an authentic response. So that's what I call the conscious communication cycle. So when two improvisers on stage do that, because they're connected, because they're aware, because they're conscious, now you have a compelling act that the audience is going to be compelled to listen to. Oh, what's happening next? What's going on? And it doesn't have to be comedic. It eventually gets to be comedic, but if you try to be comedic and try to tell a joke, it falls apart. The idea is to be just truly, truly authentic and so focused on the person that, you know, you guys, as you and I are zoned in to create some art form.
Thank you, Bill. So important in these days, well, all the time, that deep communication of getting to know each other and to really hear and understand each other, and have a chance to go to a deeper level with the thought, and be conscious of not only what the other person is saying, but like within, like, how are we reacting to it, and how do we what's coming up with ourselves that often come out in a response.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how beautiful that is to to help us through these days of trying to get along with each other.
Yeah, it's depth, it's genuineness, it's authenticity, and the thing that this cycle avoids is by people going to their minds. Let's say if you said something like, maybe you're my boss, or you know, relatives, friends, brothers, and if you say something that upsets me, what sometimes people do is they go to their mind and they say, what can I say that will appease you? Or what can I say that won't get me into trouble with my boss? Or what could I say that, whatever that is, you know, there's some agenda there. And what they're really doing is totally short-circuiting their emotional reaction. All right. And even in some improv schools, they actually will teach the deep listening, all right, like I talked about, and then something called yes and, which has to happen in every improv scene. Yes, meaning I accept what you say as truth, and adding something to it to keep the conversation going. Now, every school teaches that, which is important. Only a couple of schools teach that, how did you impact me? See, because if I don't address my emotional reaction in that conscious communication cycle I mentioned, I could just go to my brain and come up with some yes and thing. And in life, what that could relate to is, you know, what can I say to make Steve happy? I don't get him upset or whatever. And by short-circuiting your own emotional reactions, it's not a full authentic communication. And so I really like to stress that when I do the improv workshops. Besides the deep listening and the yes and, what is my emotional reaction? So now we get a really authentic conscious communication between the two of us.
Thank you. And Bill, how do you see this relating to the elders? We were doing this interview for our elder celebration time.
Mm-hmm.
And how could this be beneficial, you know, to an elder?
Yeah, I think it'd be great for anyone, but elders specifically. When I do these workshops, I have sometimes, you know, young people. I've done this workshop for children, and children are so natural at this because they're always playing and they're always in imagination and they're free, and it's so beautiful. You know, we have so much fun. As we get to be adults, we sort of cover that up. What should I be? How should I look? Type of thing, right? And the elder community, many times when I have some elders in the workshop, you know, sometimes a little sad because maybe they're not feeling 100% physically, as our bodies deteriorate as we get older. So for them, what I love to work with them is, I love to bring out their playfulness again. I love to bring out their joy again. And so when we do that, I find out that they quickly get into it because they remember, you know, they remember what it's like to play. So a few things that we talked about here, deep listening. That's good focus. You know, it's good mental focus, a good mental exercise to listen deeply what's going on. And many times these elders are very intuitive also. You know, they've let go of the shoulds that we had in maybe our 30s and 40s, and so they're a little more feisty sometimes. And they go, yeah, I'm pissed off at this. Yeah, I'm going to show you, blah, blah, blah. And they get into it and they have fun with it. So number one, it's mental acuity, which is good because they have to focus and listen. Number two, they're allowed to now express their emotional reaction, which is great. And so the listening exercises, the yes and is a great exercise. It fosters positivity always. The playfulness is great. Inclusivity. Improv is all about inclusivity, because whatever you say, I have to say yes and. So if you used to say, Bill, you're only 5'2" and you never were good at basketball, I have to say, you're right, Steve. Even if I'm not, I have to say, you're right, Steve. I always wanted to do that. So instead, I played soccer, but I always wanted to be like you and so they have fun with it. So, but inclusivity is great. Whatever you name me and whatever I name you, we have to go with it. And so it's refreshing sometimes, it's fun, and they get a lot of joy out of playing again and having these games, being mentally fresh and playing. And it develops a community, because when we do improv, sometimes people say, oh, I just want to observe, and I go, no, you can't observe. If you come into the class, you got to participate. But why? Why? Because we're all being vulnerable and we're all uncomfortable. And the only way it works is if we all do it together. We sort of have an agreement. We're all doing this together. And yes, we might get a little silly. We might look a little funny, but we teach in improv that there are no mistakes. The axiom in improv is that there are no mistakes. There are only happy accidents. So I require everyone to participate. And when they do, it's great. It's fun. It's inclusive. It builds a community. So, there are many benefits to every age group, but I definitely like working with the elder folks, because I love to see them come out of their shell and get into their playfulness all over again.
Great. Yeah, it'd be great. We're limited with our time today, but MKP does these elder cafes that once a month they have like Zoom workshops that an hour and a half or so. It'd be great for you to join us and do a workshop with us 1 month. Mm-hmm. Everybody look for those. We'll send out that information, and we'll get Bill to one of the cafes to get a lot deeper into this and to actually have an experience of it.
That would be great, Steve. I'd be happy to do that.
And anything else you'd like to add, Bill? It was a wonderful time together.
I think improv is sort of the best kept secret. I went into it just because I thought it was fun. I was for a lark for one evening, and I felt compelled when I saw what it is. I was just compelled to stay with it. There's so many positive attributes of it, all of the principles. I even sometimes say it's a spiritual practice. When I think about it, listening to your partner, giving to your partner. Improv is not about you. It's about your partner. It's about always setting up your partner. I am always looking to set you up and give to you. So it's not about me. It's about you. It's about the team. It's about the scene. It's about positivity, inclusivity, genuineness, authenticity. If these are not spiritual practices, what is? So I really liken it to that as well. So it's great for team building in corporations. It's great for communities. Like I said, I've taught it to children, to high school students, to professors who are not the easiest ones to laugh and play, but they had a ball at the end of it. So my joy is that when at the end of the 2.5 hour, 3 hour session, everyone is free and themselves. And I get such joy out of seeing who they really are underneath. I get such joy out of seeing them come out of whatever shell or should that they were living under to come out with their true self. It just gives me so much joy.
Yeah, I can definitely tell. It's wonderful to feel your enthusiasm and this valuable tool that you're bringing into the world. So it's incredible.
Great. Well, Steve, thanks so much, and appreciate this, and be happy to work with your folks in one of those sessions, the cafe sessions.
Great. Thanks for being with us, Bill.
My pleasure.